Hey,
Hey, what's going on? Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Three Beards and a Boss. I know we're lacking tonight
two
on
beards.
two beards and no boss. So we've said this so many times that we have lives. This is not our full time job. Uh, Brian is doing interviews, which is a good thing, right? Because if he's doing interviews, that might be he can come back to the show soon.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Becky is under the weather. So hopefully everybody will be back together very soon, and we can have some laughs. We do have a guest tonight, and we're going to talk about that guest in just a second. Um, the top news, I guess everyone's talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, right?
Rittenhouse, yeah.
Yeah, Rittenhouse. The jury's having a hard time uh, deciding on this case. They got a lot of people outside. They're upset. They're I don't know if they're rioting. They're protesting. They're definitely protesting outside, um, but they're having a hard time. And the latest news on there was about 4 hours ago was that there's a new drone footage of this, and the defense is trying to get a mistrial. So it's going to be
Hmm.
really interesting. Whatever side you're on, I think it's going to be a turning point for people for gun rights and people against gun rights. I think this is going to be a big factor in how things are going to happen. And I believe Wisconsin is a stand your ground. Maybe I might be wrong on that, uh, but it's definitely going to be some turning points.
Yeah,
So,
that's a crazy case, man. How do you cross state lines
right.
with a gun in hand
Yes.
and not have the intention to use this? Like I feel like he went with every intention to
Right.
use it, and this kid's gonna get off scot free, man. I,
Right.
I I don't think he's gonna. I think
I don't think they're
he's
going
gonna
to
get
do it.
away with it,
Yeah.
which is
And,
absolutely crazy to me.
and here's
Stand
and
your
here's
ground or
how yeah
not.
yeah and here's how I feel about it. Um, I talk to Austin about this all the time. Is when you put yourself out there, something might bad happen, right? He was 17 years old. Where were the parents? I mean, I know his stepdad or his dad was something like that was there, and he was protecting some businesses in his dad's town. But at the same time, why would you allow your? I would not allow my son, even at my son at 18 now, let alone let him go out there at 17 years old. You're still a child.
Well, protect business. Like, when's the last time you thought to yourself, you know what? I'm going to grab an AR-15 and go
Right.
protect fucking Walmart. When's the last time you thought about that?
Yeah.
Not this guy. I don't give a shit. Burn
Yeah.
down Walmart for all I care, but I'm not going to risk my life to
Or your
defend
livelihood. Or your
or your
livelihood.
livelihood. I mean,
Yeah.
the defense is scrambling on this one, and I think unfortunately this kid's going to get off, and what a shame. I don't think it's going to do shit to gun laws.
You don't think so?
Well, if Sandy Hook doesn't, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
Sandy Hook doesn't, how do you think this would?
Right.
There's always this big push, but we're very quick to forget here in this
Right.
country
And I
how
think
and
yeah.
I don't know, man. I can go
I
on
think
and on about
oh I
that, but
know. I know. I think everyone wants the ability to protect themselves, but um, there's got to be some common sense. And I think this case misses out on common sense. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this case. And one of the biggest things they're talking about is rights of gun laws or rights of gun owners. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with poor choices that this young man put himself in or his family. His family was responsible for him. Till Austin was 18 years old, I'm responsible for that knucklehead.
yep.
So no matter what he did, I was responsible. So if anyone should be in trouble, it should be his darn parents.
Yeah.
Put
Well,
them on the stand. But anyways, that's the top news. I think that's the most uh, news we got. That we got. Me and you both have great opinions on.
yeah,
Um,
that kind of stuff bothers me, man.
yeah.
That like I just don't like this kid goes across state lines with an AR-15 to protect businesses. Like I don't
Right.
know what it was, Target or whatever it was.
Oh, I
It's
don't
like,
know
come
what it
on, man.
was, but yeah,
Like
it,
really, that's the
it's
last
crazy.
thing I'm thinking about is, hey, let's go protect Target from looters. Come on,
Yeah.
man. This guy was looking to kill people, and unfortunately, he's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
So,
Letter of the law, he'll definitely walk away. Hey, you
Yeah.
notice something? Let's see. Can you see it? Oh, I got to do it the right way. You see my sombrero, my little hat? The back?
Are you
Really?
pointing at the right?
Oh no, somewhere over there.
Okay, I think I may see a hat. Is it upside down with the bill facing up?
No, it's right below. It's my. You know what?
Just
Give me a
grab the
second.
damn
I'll
thing. I
grab it. Hold on. Give me a second.
can't. I can't see it, brother. Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus, man. What the hell is that?
So
You got to put that thing on, man.
can I put it on with the helmet? You know what? We're working it. We're making it happen, y'all. So when I was it ain't gonna work. Anyways, when I went down to Florida, I stopped at south of the border, and south of the border is open. So please go down there and check it out. When you guys go on vacation, you can go check it out. They only tore down an ice cream shop.
So south of the border, where is that? Florida?
It's on 95. No, it's on 95. 95 South.
Okay.
And it's right there, North Carolina, South Carolina border.
Gotcha.
You got to check it out.
All right.
But anyways, that is all we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Tell us all about David.
Man, well, I'm going to let him tell about himself. The guy needs no introduction, Davy boy. He really doesn't. But honestly, one of my favorite people in the world. I love his work. Him and I, when we get together and have some drinks, we have some of the most interesting conversations. And I thought it would be awesome to have him on. He's a comic book artist. He's a teacher, first and foremost.
Educator, like it.
Educator, comic book artist, author, musician. I mean, this guy does it all, man. He's like, I don't know, like Superman, really. Let's bring him in.
Okay, let's do it.
Shall we? Now he's going to be embarrassed. Watch, when he pops in, he's just going to be like,
He's gonna be laughing. Let's do it.
Hey, David boy.
Thanks for setting me up to fail there, Dynamite.
What's going on, buddy?
Be the best.
Yeah. Look, we need you to do really well. We need the views and the ratings, okay?
We need the views and the ratings.
Sure, I'll take it. Okay, I got you. I'll hold it all on my shoulders. It's awesome.
Yes. You're going to have to. I mean,
I'll do it.
We started with Rittenhouse, so that could go. I'm surprised the comments aren't already beating me up for my comments, but whatever.
I agree with everything you guys said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy story, man. But I don't know. The guy's going to get off scot-free, and it's a shame. But anyway, David boy, tell us about yourself. Tell us about tell us about what you do for a living. Tell us about yourself, and tell us about what you do in your spare time.
Yeah, husband, father of two, first and foremost, and then teacher. Been teaching. I guess I've been going on 15 years now as an educator. Taught at all levels, art, high school, middle school, and elementary. I'm in elementary right now. Been an elementary school teacher for about 11 years-ish or so.
Wow.
Right down the street from my house. I love it. They're good kids. It's a good district. They support the arts. Yeah. They do a really good job of giving me what I need to be able to do my job. And it's really fun. The kids are good. The parents are good. It's been a weird couple of years.
Yeah.
But the parents are usually pretty supportive of the school in general and what I do.
Good. So are you guys in class, or are you
in class? Yeah,
in class.
I'd say we probably have about maybe 10 or 15 kids from my building quarantined. But I think I got an email today that they're coming back here pretty soon, probably right after Thanksgiving. So we're doing okay. Yeah, we're doing okay with it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I know a lot of the parents and a lot of parents and teachers weren't happy with the mask. Kids don't care about their kids do not care.
Yeah.
Like,
no, they don't.
Mask, okay, great. Let's wear a mask. I don't care.
Yep.
But parents are on some level, and I get it on some level. I wouldn't want my kid walking around with a mask on his face all day, or her face all day. But it's a weird time. It's not. There's a finite level of time that we're gonna have to do this.
Yeah.
So the more we do it now, the less we'll have to do it later. So you do it now. Let's just get her done. So, but it's going well. After teaching, I am a comic book artist and writer. I have my own production company called Correct Handed Comics. and I have been for about 5 years or so, give or take, putting out books. I have an ongoing series called The Offspring that issue 17 came out about a month ago. I have a spattering of one-shots, 24-page one-shots. The last one came out about a month ago called The Sock Hop Killer of all different genres. I have a 4-issue miniseries. There's the website, 4-issue miniseries called Evolution Utero, which is about a superhero before he's even born. So it's about the mom pregnant with a superhero, and the mom is the worst.
Yeah.
The mom's the worst kind of person you'd ever want to be the parent of a superhero. And it's a fun story. And then a smattering of others, a 100-plus page graphic novel. I wrote a book a few years back. All that good stuff. Just having fun with it, and trying to get out as many. My mantra is quick but quality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I try to get out as many books in a year as I can. Usually it's about 5 or 6 I hit in a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So full books, or like, I'm seeing you got volume 4 here. I'm assuming that's not that's just one comic.
That is a collection of issues 14, 15, and 16, and it is one of my. There's a backup story in there. One of my 24-page one shots called "I Won't Stop." So you get 4 issues in that one volume. That actually came out today. So if you go to correctanacomics.com and you click on it, there's print and digital. You can get your copy from Amazon, and it's a great. That's the first time in that story. Offspring is the ongoing series that I have, and it's monsters and mayhem and craziness. And this is the first time they actually time travel back into the American Civil War. So it's a fun story. Lots going on. Lots of action and some deeper stuff in there. Also, there's some pretty deep stuff in The Offspring. It's about some kids who are mentally and physically abused. So from time to time, it can't just be monsters and action adventure. It's got to be like real character driven stuff. But it's been really fun. I'm working on issue 18 right now, and I hope to have that out in January.
So out of curiosity, which one of the characters from The Offspring is based loosely on me? This guy with the big muscles?
Well, they all have a little bit of Bob in there. They all have a little bit. Like there's enough of Bob to go around to multiple characters.
That's good. That's good to hear.
In any aspect of culture.
We always said he had many personalities. So
yeah. There is one guy that has my eyebrows that I know for sure. I'm like, yeah, he got that from me. That's definitely my eyebrows. Yeah. And this is him right here. This guy.
Oh wow. Okay.
This guy right here.
Nice.
Nice.
So Dave, tell us what first and foremost, what got you started in drawing? Just in general. When did you start, and what got you started? What was kind of your motivation?
When I realized I couldn't do math,
okay,
I picked up a pencil and started drawing stuff.
No,
that's pretty much it. Like I knew from very, very young age, like so many people in my situation, I knew from a very young age that I enjoyed superheroes and enjoyed drawing and enjoyed cartoons and enjoyed all that stuff. And just started drawing and kept drawing and didn't stop. I was the kid that got in trouble for drawing doodles all over his math assignments. Right. And parents would constantly yell at me and for doing. And I said, "You can yell at me all you want. I'm not going to stop."
Right.
Is the math done? Was my question. Is the math done? Did I get a C on it?
You, right?
Did I get at least a C on it?
That's right.
Let's continue with our day.
Was there any teacher that gave you extra credit for being such a good artist, or no?
No, there were teachers that didn't mind as much as others. In fact, I had one teacher, an English teacher in middle school, who we were doing a writing assignment. I don't remember exactly what the writing assignment was, but I asked her if I could do it as a comic book instead of. So I was like, "There's still words in there," and she said yes. And I handed in I think it was like a 10-page comic book, and I probably got a better grade on that than I did anything else. But so I had some teachers in there that understood that not everybody needs to get A+ in math to be successful. And,
right.
And it was good. Yeah.
So was there ever there had to be. So what was that moment when you were like, I'm actually really good at this and I could probably make a career out of it? Was there?
I think I had that moment yesterday.
Oh,
Wait,
late
just
bloomer.
yesterday.
Just yesterday.
That's
No,
not terrible.
it's always a process. Like I knew early on there, as an artist, you're your own worst critic.
Right.
So from the time I was 10 and picking up a pencil and drawing Superman or Batman or Scooby-Doo or whatever it was, to now at 46 years old, there's always that you want to get better. There's that drive to get better and better and better and better. I'd say probably when I got out of school, got my associate's degree and started working as a graphic designer. It's 25 years ago. Jeez. And started really understanding what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And what I wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
And still didn't do anything really for another 10 years with it, but knew where I wanted to go and knew what I wanted to do to get there. And it was just creating stories, having a notebook and having it all there. And if I wasn't ready to get it into sequential pages yet, I knew I had the stories. I knew I had the characters. And it was just quietly behind the scenes working on that stuff. And I knew that I was eventually going to be ready to be able to get it out. And I'd say that was probably when my wife and I moved up to upstate New York. I grew up in Ohio. You guys know that. Yes. Moved to Florida. Lived in Florida for about a decade. Met my wife, I think, 3 months into moving to Florida.
Oh, you know what? Let me ask you before I forget. What part of Florida was that?
First West Palm Beach.
Okay. Second question: was she a Gator?
She went to the University of West Florida.
Okay.
So
you're a Buckeye by family, right?
My wife could not give two flying rat's butts.
But you are.
She does not care.
Buckeye.
You what?
You are for the Buckeyes, correct?
When I choose to care, I hold no affiliations. Okay. But when the Buckeyes are on TV for football, I watch them. Okay. And I enjoy it.
Okay, because I have a very fond memory of Bobby's wedding and your dad going down the aisle with "Go Buckeyes" on the back of his tuxedo. So I was just curious.
Dad. Yeah. He was a Buckeye through and through.
And he was not too happy we had that on Michigan Ohio State Buckeye football game.
Yes.
That's for sure. But
yes,
he got through it. I mean, like everybody else did. But there was a football game on in someone's car, and everybody was out there watching it. So
there was people in your wedding that had headphones inside their ear listening to that football game.
Yeah.
Because somebody asked me if I wanted to know the score.
Yeah.
So, and you said, I don't give a shit.
Good. I was like, I'm a Gator.
Yeah. Well, I love football. I love sports. Grew up playing sports. I played football. I coached football for many years. But I could care less.
Right.
I could not care less. Care less about if a team like my son is big into. We watch NFL together. Right. And for some reason, he's a big Steelers fan. I don't know how it happened. I don't know where that came from. But when the Bengals were doing well earlier in the season,
right,
and I can't watch them because they don't play them up here, so we'll be able to catch them from time to time up here in upstate New York. But when they were on a run, we were kind of giving each other the business about it, and they got beat. Bengals got beat by the Jets.
Yes,
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and I had to hear it from my son Connor for days. Days after that.
Yeah,
I'm still mad at Connor for being a Steelers fan, though. How did he get there?
I don't know. I don't know if he saw something or something pinged in his brain. I don't know, but he loves it, and that's great.
He is a big fan for sure. Good for him.
But it doesn't ruin my day if my team, which I'm not affiliated with in any way, shape, or form, loses or wins.
Right.
But it's great. But I love football.
You come from a long line of educators in your family.
Yeah.
So what was your education background before you became an art teacher?
So graduated high school by the skin of my teeth.
Okay.
And I had a good time in high school, maybe too much of a good time in high school.
Gotcha.
And went immediately to get my associates. I knew I wanted to get that 2-year associate's degree, and I knew I kind of wanted to kind of figure out. It was a figuring out process for me. I knew that I wanted to draw, knew I wanted to be an artist. Knew the comic books was in the cards there somewhere. But I knew at that time 4 years was not going to happen for me.
Okay.
So went to get my associate's degree and got it in a year and a half and went immediately into graphic design. So I worked in graphic design for 10 years at various companies. I'd probably, if I had to count, it was maybe 4 different companies, but it was in the span of, 3 or 4 years, and then ended up at a great firm in Florida called American Designs. And
Okay.
it was just a nice lady. Her name was Mindy. She was great. And she needed a graphic designer. And I worked for her for probably 7 years as a graphic designer. In that time, got married and met my wife, Kelly. We were in the process of getting married. And I said, I probably need to do something a little more stable than this.
Right. Gotcha.
So, and I always knew that I wanted to go back to get my teaching degree by the time I was 30.
Okay.
By the time I was too old to care about, going out and having fun and all that kind of stuff. So I went back went to Florida Atlantic University and got my teaching degree with a minor in art history, art education, art, visual arts, and started really within 3 months, had a job teaching high school in Florida. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being there. We by then, Kelly and I had 2 kids, but we knew we were so far away from anybody that we could call family.
Right.
So we decided we were kind of flipping a coin. Ohio, we could move back to Ohio or move to where she came from, upstate New York.
Okay.
And we kind of molded over for a good year or so because we weren't in any hurry, but we knew it had to happen.
Right.
So talking to her parents and her parents were not doing well health-wise. They're doing great now, but we're not doing well health-wise at the time. So we thought it'd be better to be able to move up here to upstate New York, and moved here and got my master's degree from one of the SUNY schools up here, and found my job with school that I'm at right now. It took me about a year and a half. It's a little tough sometimes up here in this small rural area to be able to find jobs with somebody who, especially a job like mine, teaching art. They hold on to those jobs like grim death, which they should.
Right. Yeah.
Which I am too. I'm holding on to mine. I'm not going anywhere. Right. Because I love it. And that was about 11 years ago, and still going strong and having a good time with it. And about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, started doing some small press comic book stuff, and said I'm ready to do it on my own. Let's produce some books, and I have been ever since.
Yeah.
Now, with all of the stuff that you've done with the comics and the books and all that, does it give you good revenue, or is it just kind of like, hey, I got enough to pay for the next book?
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna be able to retire on it anytime soon. But I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing better than I don't say most than
right.
I think on the average I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great gig. I love it. I love getting out the stories. I think it might be like a Van Gogh situation where I sold one painting while I was alive, and then after I pass, it blows up on me.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, who's this guy? Like, oh, he's dead now.
Yeah. The Offspring movies come out. Marvel signs
after I'm dead. I'll accept that Oscar post-mortem. I don't care.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Kelly's swimming in your money.
Swimming it.
That's right.
Because you know that they outlive us because we do dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
Really, one of the reasons that I did this was for my own, because it was something that I needed to do. I'd make the joke now, you'd have to cut off my arms to get me to stop, and I'd still probably find a way to be able to produce books. But really, for me, part of the fun part is the long haul, and to know that my kids are going to be able to see this and say, that's what granddad did. That's what great granddad did. That's what great granddad did. And to be able to have these physical books that they can see a little bit of me and say, granddad was nuts.
Yeah. You're building,
and my kids will go,
legacy.
Yeah,
exactly. Legacy. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Dave, what comes first for you? Do you have the vision in your head of what the art's going to look like? Mm-hmm. Or for you, is it the writing part? And then you're like, okay, now let's throw in the art.
It really depends. I'm always artist first.
Okay.
But after 15 years of writing, and I never would have 10 years ago considered myself a writer. It was always art first,
Right.
and hopefully tell a cohesive, solid story through cool art.
Right.
But now I would consider myself art first, but just as much of a writer.
Yeah.
And I would say that it really depends on the story. Sometimes, like with The Offspring, it's a visual. I know I'm going to get out 50 books. My
Right.
plan is to stop at 50 books. I have the story. I know how it's going to end. I know everything that's going to happen in between, but room to wiggle if I figure something cooler out, which I really like about it.
Yeah.
But there are visuals in my brain that I have for issue 50 and visuals in my brain that I have for the next issue 18, that I'm in the middle of doing right now. So it's those visuals, and then making sure that the story is cohesive in between the visuals.
Right.
But there will be times that it is that I'll come up with a plot first for it. Like, I'll give you an example. So one of the one shots that I put out over the summer, I think it was July, it came out, was "Will Aliens Do My Homework?" And it was more of an action adventure, more of a fun type story than what I put out before. The other ones are fun action stories, but they've got a little more gravitas to them. There's a little bit more serious stuff, undertones in there. Well, the way it came about was I was walking through my classroom, and I was with third graders, and they were doing their thing. We had music going. We were all talking. Everybody's drawing. We're having a good time. And I looked out the window, and my weird old man brain thought, what would I do if aliens attacked right now? It just popped into my brain. Like, where would I take these kids? What would I do?
Right.
And I walked around kind of laughing at that idea or whatever, and thinking, oh, there's the exit. I'll take them down this exit. If that's blocked, I'll go down here, kind of a thing. And then I realized that there's a story in here.
Yeah.
And there's a story with a protagonist that you don't see much, which is art teacher.
Right. Yeah.
How many protagonists do you see in movies or TVs or books that's an art teacher?
I can't think of one.
Yeah, within 2 hours, I had the whole thing plotted out. I was just walking to my desk every once in a while, writing the next thing that went by while I was continuing to teach. And by the end of the day, I had the plot. And making sure that I'm trying to come up with solid visuals as I go. So that was one of the times where the story came first, and the visuals kind of worked themselves into as I went. And that's the fun part for me. I love being able to come at it from either angle, where a visual pops into my brain and go, ooh, how can I wrap a story around that? Or the story pops into my brain and say, where are the great visuals in here? And I think that's one of the fun parts about what it is I do. There's no rules. There's no right and wrong. It's just what I want to do. Yeah. And I hope other people like it also.
Yeah. I would love to have your imagination. That would be, and then not just be able to come up with a story, but then by the end of the day, have it kind of plotted out. And this is what's going to happen.
It's really fun. Sometimes it can get in the way of real life a little bit.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sure.
Yeah, like but it's good. I love it.
So where could we find that one shot? Where can we see the adventures of art teacher?
Yeah, so Will Aliens Do My Homework? Every single title I have ever produced, they're all right there on my website, correcthandacomics.com. Okay. There's different pages for the title page. The front page has some of the newer stuff that came out, along with the collections of The Offspring.
Okay.
So there are volumes 1, 2, and 3 of The Offspring that collect issues 1 and 4, then 5 through 10, then 11 through 13. Then the omnibus, if you scroll down there, that's actually the one shot. Sorry, if you go to the homepage.
Oh, okay, so there's
Will Aliens Do My Homework. Yeah.
Okay. Now, where? I'm sorry. Where did I go for the other one?
Go to the homepage. Home? Yeah.
Okay.
And scroll down. So there's a Sock Hop Killer, Volume 4, but there are all the trades right there, Volume 1 through 3. The omnibus right there in the middle that collects issues 1 through 13. So if you want just one big book with what I'm calling the first season, it's right there. And then Volume 4 collects the beginning of the second season right there, where they time travel back into the Civil War, issues 14, 15, and 16.
Okay.
And then there's a one shot in there also.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that one shot is
I Won't Stop.
Okay. Which is part of this one shot. Do you do your own website too?
I do. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
looks good.
Well,
I
thank
won't
you.
stop.
It's that's a lot of trial and error. I actually used to have had the opportunity to design websites in the past, and it was always a little clunky from time to time. But I really like the way it's looking now. I think it's looking real streamlined. It looks real
Yep.
clear, and everything's where it needs to be. I like it, and the links all work.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, they do. They do.
There's something else that you designed. It's in the right corner of our screen too.
Yes, that's
wanted-
the
Yeah,
that's the Three Beards. Yeah,
yeah.
you did that for
You
us.
built,
We do
you made
appreciate
that for us, and
I
I
do.
know I thanked you, but I love it. I absolutely
thanks,
love
man.
it.
Good, I'm
Now,
glad you like it. Yeah, I love doing logos. When I was a graphic designer, I did logos all the time. And it's one of those things. My logo I designed for Correct Handed Comics with the left hand there, and
Right.
I love doing logos. I don't really get a chance to do it much anymore, but when I get a chance to do it, I jump on it.
now, would you consider that particular logo your best work?
Ever. I think it should win awards.
Well, I tell you, when we go real big, you're going to see it on national television. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the plan is for that. After you guys get so many episodes, like once you hit 50 episodes, I'll redesign it and I'll add to it. So it
There you
starts.
go.
It starts in one place and then it starts to evolve and change into other places. It's going to look awesome.
Perfect. So
And-
I wanted to focus too on your novel. Now I know your novel
go.
is a little bit older, but tell us what's the difference between writing a novel and doing the comic books? Aside from the obvious that there's no pictures in your novel, it's a novel. But what's how is the process different? And which one do you enjoy more? Which one kind of is better for you or better for your brain? Or
So when we moved up to upstate New York, I was substituting to try to keep getting food on the table, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And I was kind of finding like blocks of time in my day as a substitute. So I had this, they make the saying is everybody has one novel in them.
Yeah.
I have more than one, but it's trying to get them out is the issue. But I sat down. And I said, I'm going to see if I can write a cohesive story in novel form. And I started sitting down, and I say it probably took me I had the story, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew where I wanted to go. So I'd say it probably took me in the span of sitting down for 10 or 15 minutes a day, writing it out, probably took me about a year. To do it. And as I got about halfway through, I started to realize that it was going pretty good but compared to what how I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
There were big learning curves. I'd never written long form like that before. But it was by the time I got to like chapter 7 and 8, I started realizing I was throwing in things that like my family, my brothers and sisters would laugh about. Things that I knew that I would enjoy, things that I wanted to see from Westerns, because I loved Westerns growing up, still do. And I think it's a solid traditional Western with some contemporary stuff in there.
Okay.
So it's if you like like anything with the Duke or Jimmy Stewart, those kind of Westerns, Rio Grande, Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, stuff like that. You'll enjoy this. Those spaghetti Westerns that I read growing up as a kid from like Louis L'Amour, those kind of Westerns. I think it's just a fun read. And it was really the thing that gave me the confidence to say, I think I'm ready to start getting some comic books done.
Yeah.
Because I thought if I can do this, not that it's easier or harder, it's definitely a different skill set. But I thought if I can write a novel, then it's time for me to stop. It's time for me to get off my butt and start doing the thing that I know that I'm supposed to be doing. So from there, I reached out to a couple little small press stuff that I kind of had my eye on and said, hey, do you need 8 pages done? Do you need, a 10-pager done? Some short story stuff for anthologies. And they started within a few weeks, they started throwing me some like full-length books. So I did a few full-length books for some people and was talking to some people about getting The Offspring published through them. And as I was doing that, I started to get those little spidey tinglings that something wasn't quite right with one or two of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I try not to ignore my gut with that. So I held off on doing anything of my own with them. And about a year into it, realized that I should just be doing it myself.
Yeah.
So that's when Correctana Comics was born, and I was able to get The Offspring out. I'd had the first 4 issues of The Offspring written for 20 years before it came out.
Wow.
And I had made some tweaks and some changes because as I had matured, the story had matured also.
Right.
But knowing that the first 4 pages were the hardest for me because they're pretty it's pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
In the first 4 pages, and it's getting over that hump to be able to know that I can communicate that in a way that shows you that this is not going to be. It's going to be a fun, interesting ride, but there's going to be some heavy stuff in there also.
Yeah.
To be able to get through those first 4 pages and to be able to get the first 24 pages and in those first 24 pages of issue 1 the way I wanted to, with a little teaser. I kind of realized from there once I had issue 1 that I had something for me that was pretty special, that I wanted to keep going. And like I said, I'm right in the middle of issue 18 here, and I plan on 50.
That's insane. How long will it take, do you think, to get to 50?
So
is it what's you're on volume 18? How long will it take you to release volume 19? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it?
Yeah, I can get 5-6 books out in a year on a good year if I'm really diligent and really plugging it away. But 5 books a year is about right.
So 5 books is 1 volume. Is that what you put into your volume?
It depends. I try to do the volumes as individual stories.
Okay.
So the first volume 1 is the first 4 issues, and some will be volume 2 is the next 3 stories, but 2 issues per story. Does that make sense? So it's 6 issues in the next volume 2. Then volume 3 was a 3-issue story arc, but then I put a backup one-shot in there to get it up to 4 books. So really each volume kind of has a different feel to it, a different level of storytelling to it, just the way the stories go out. I don't like I said, I have all 50 issues. I know what's going to happen. So I'm not just going to pad it out to try to get it to 4 issues. I'm going to tell the story in 3 issues if that's all I need. Yeah. And making sure that I'm really trying to bust them out with solid stories, solid characterization, solid things happening in it. Lots of action, adventure, and what the hell's happening kind of stuff going on. And I think I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. So from volume 1 to volume 4, how have the characters changed and evolved? Have they matured since you have? I mean, have you found that they're becoming more mature and more mature things are happening, or is it pretty much flat like Superman?
No, they grow as the story goes on. The first 17 issues that I have out, it's really been maybe a year and a half in their lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not growth so much as they've started to really mature as people. It's growth that they realize that the 3 of them, the main 3 characters at the beginning, the 3 of them have connections that they can't ignore. Okay. They grow. What my plan was for these 3 characters to start off in the first story arc in issue 1. We meet all 3 characters: Will, Vince, and Sarah. Vince and Sarah in the worst part of their lives. Sarah. I'll start with Sarah. Sarah's just getting out of prison after a 3-year stint for B&E, and Vince is going dark. And I start to kind of go back into some of their backstory and explain how they got here. Vince is on the verge of committing suicide.
Okay.
Will is the only one that seems to have it under control. He works at the school that they grew up in. They all were taken out of their homes. They were all mentally and physically abused as kids. So they were taken out of their homes and put into an alternative school where they met. And I touch on it in some of the stories just to kind of give a little backstory about who they were and how they met. So they start to realize fairly quickly that they have a connection to each other, and it's not just their background. It's not just that they were all mentally or physically abused. It's a like psychic connection between the 3 of them that they can't ignore. Yep. So as the story progresses, you realize that these three characters, especially Will and Vince, who Sarah and Vince, who are not in a good spot. They're not happy. They're not really good people at this point. They're trying to struggle through life, and it's not going well for them. Will seems to have it under control. He seems to be doing okay. He teaches at the school, but as the story progresses, he's the one that you realize that there are cracks in the foundation. Like he seems to be having it all together, but you start to realize as the story goes, he's just as messed up on the inside as the other two.
Right.
And for me, part of it was having those characters who, the story is not going to be changed. It's not going to be fixed in 4 issues.
Right.
It might not be part of their issues, might not ever be fixed.
Right.
And that's okay. They can start to heal because of their friendship and this family that they're growing. But the issues that they grew up with, the problems that they have, might not ever get resolved 100%.
Right.
And that's really something that I wanted to do in this long format, 50 issues, to be able to say they're not okay. They know it. But that's okay.
Right.
But they're not okay. They can get to a place that is productive for them, and inside of that being productive in their lives, which they're not there yet in the 17 issues we've got. It actually kind of goes backwards for them because the thing I like to say is they're fighting monsters on the inside, but they're also fighting real monsters on the outside too.
Right.
So in the span of them trying to work on themselves and realize that they want to do better, they're constantly being hit with these crazy monsters that are attracted to them for some reason. And we start to figure out why as the story goes on.
Right. And I know in volume 1, they're tackling some really hard issues. I mean,
it's like I said, it's got some heavy stuff to it. Yeah. But I try to make sure that in between the heavy stuff, there's some jokes in there. One of the characters, Vince, is the kid who doesn't know when to shut his mouth, and he handles stress and tries to cope with it through humor. Right. Oftentimes people looking at him saying, well, that's not appropriate to say that right now, but that's just how he copes with things. Yeah. So it's trying to find that line of these pretty deep topics, but also finding places to get the humor in a common sense place for the story. Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you one example. Yep. So Sarah gets out of prison and they go to pick her up. Sarah and Vince do not like each other, even though they know they have this connection. When they were growing up, they were constantly butting heads with each other. And when Sarah gets out of prison, Vince and Will go pick her up, and she sees Vince and she's like, ugh, this guy. And Vince immediately hits on her because he is a jerk. Yeah. Because he's like, oh, that's not the little girl that I remember. She's a woman. She looks good now. She shuts him down. Well, they go to a bar. Sarah wants to go to a dance club. They go to a dance club, and she gets hit on by these guys, and violence ensues, big fight scene, all that kind of stuff. Will tells Vince to take care of one of the other guys, and he controls. They do have superpowers. Vince can control the liquid in his body, the water, the spit, the boogers, the everything. And the way he handles taking one of the jerks who are trying to force themselves on Sarah is he decides to throw up on him.
Ew. Gross.
Completely in character for this guy. He picked the most inappropriate thing to do or say at that time, and this character's going to do it. Yeah. And everybody kind of stops and says, "Oh, okay, it's time to leave," and they get out of there.
Other than the puking, do you find when you're writing about your characters and getting your characters to really come to life? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had any teenagers or anything say they can relate to certain things in your characters?
Yeah, I have actually. Talking about this and having people, read it and come to me and message me or find me on Facebook or whatever. And, I can't say that I've had people say anything like, your character changed my life because I know that this character is going through a thing that I'm going through, all that kind of stuff. But I have talked to people, especially in this kind of forum for podcasts and shows on YouTube, where they have read it and said that it really connected with them.
Okay.
That they really saw something of them and their lives in these characters. And it was a lethargic feeling for them because it kind of connected with them on a way that it might not connect with somebody else who doesn't have that kind of who doesn't have that kind of history in their lives. And that was something I wanted to do too. These characters are, to start off with, not Superman. They're not great people. They don't want to save people. They're not superheroes. They're 3 20-somethings who happen to have these powers. We start to find out later on why they get these powers. But they don't want to help people. They want to get through their lives as best as they can without getting punched in the face.
Right.
And it doesn't work out all the time for them.
Right. No, it does not. It does not.
And getting punched in the face sucks.
Yes.
Not fun.
So, David Boy, I got your next one shot.
Okay.
You ready to hear it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
We've talked about this before, and I don't know how we're gonna do it. Maybe I have to write it and you can illustrate, but
I can see your name at the bottom of a correct-handed comic title.
I do too. I'm thinking of a father who, and this has been done before, but there's a twist. A father who has a superpower where he can, tell stories about history and things like that with his kids, and he can take them back in time to show them the exact periods. Nice. But one of these kids develops another power where he can, and this whole time his father cannot alter history. Mm-hmm. He could just view it and just see it and show it. But the son can, and that's his superpower. And he starts kind of fucking with shit. In a really bad way. So that I've got to work on, man. I keep talking about it.
That sounds more like that doesn't sound as much of a 24-page one-shot as it does like a 100-issue graphic novel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there, Bob.
Right. I know there's a lot of there. I'm thinking like, talking to his kids about, the Bible, and now we're going back to like, well, where's Jesus? There is no Jesus. What are you talking about? I'm looking and there, and then maybe
I got a little thing for you. When they go back to biblical times, and the kids look around and say, "Where are all the white people?" And the dad says, "It's the Bible. There are no white people in the Bible."
Exactly. Well, that's not what Pastor says.
Yeah, that's not the picture we got above the.
Right. White Jesus is right there. What are you talking
can't
about?
You see him?
Now I hear a lot of people are hanging up Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi accidentally.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Hey, speaking of novel, I went ahead and ordered your novel. It'll get here. Man. It'll get here Friday. I'm looking forward to it.
Give it a read. Tell me what you think.
I will. I definitely will.
Thanks so much, TJ. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So anyway, maybe we'll work on that one shot and what's happening? I'm getting. Is that something in my ear? Is that just me?
That's just you, man.
It's just you.
Oh, I can't hear.
You got an echo?
I don't know, guys. I lost audio. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I probably shouldn't even. TJ, if you want to go, man, let me try to fix this.
You fix that. I do have some questions. So you teach third grade art.
I teach K through 5.
K through 5 art. Okay, so do your kids in your classes look at some of your material?
Sometimes. What I try to do as an art teacher is the elements of art: line, shape, form, value, texture, color, and space.
Okay.
And we start those from day one in kindergarten.
Okay.
So we start with lines because everything you draw is going to be using the lines.
Right.
So we talk about vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and arch. We move on to two-dimensional geometric and organic shapes. From there, we move on to three-dimensional forms. From there, we start talking about space and how we use space to be able to create the things you want to create, 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective. We use color and color. We talk about color and color theory. We talk about texture and how you want to visually communicate how if something is soft or hard or rigid or curved or whatever it is. And we, from day one in kindergarten, we start to go through all those elements of art throughout the year. So by the time, and one thing I try to do as a teacher is I try to hit every single learning style through the arts, to be able to let them know that through the arts you can teach math, through the arts you can teach history, through the arts you can teach science, through the arts you can teach anything. There's so much math in the arts, in art and visual arts and music, that nobody told me about it when I was a kid. I probably would have done better at math. Well, if people would have if taught it the way that, not to toot my horn or anything, but taught it the way I teach it. So one of the reasons I wanted to become a teacher is so I could hit those kids who struggled like I did, to be able to use the arts to be able to do better in other subjects, to be able to connect those subjects together. And, sometimes kids get it and sometimes they connect, and sometimes it might hit in 20 years when they come up, Mr. Whalen, you made me get an A in geometry because we talked about three-dimensional forms in kindergarten. I said, great. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So we scaffold throughout the whole thing. And then 5th grade, one of their final projects is they create a one-page comic book. So from there, they use all of the things that we've talked about. It's the last 3 months of 5th grade with me, and they can create any kind of story they want, superheroes or ballerinas or football players or construction workers, whatever they want, to be able to tell that story. And when we do that, I do take out some of my pages and give them as examples. I take out some of I use Frank Miller as an example. I use Jim Lee as an example of communicating visually. I do use comic strips like Garfield. I use Garfield because it's great visuals, because it doesn't change much throughout, but it does change enough to be able to give them an idea of what's going on. So, so I do show them my stuff from time to time, but it doesn't. If I did it too much, it would take over, and kids would just that's all they'd want to see. So,
I'll tell you what, it's amazing. When you were giving all of that, I'm thinking to myself, I don't remember any of that. All I remember is I took macaroni and glued it to paper.
I do not glue macaroni to plates. I do not do that with kids.
I have no clue. When I'm like, you do all that in art class in elementary school? Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. These kids, man, these kids are smart these days. Not nearly as smart as or they're much smarter than we were. I could tell you that.
Every day.
We do a lot of cutting, gluing, and pasting, but I told myself when I was a teacher, especially when I went into elementary, that I refuse to glue macaroni onto plates.
Yeah.
I refuse. There's so many better things to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Agree. Now, have you recognized in any of your kids talent that you saw in yourself? Do you see that a lot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have. Quite honestly, so every year there's 4 or 5 kids that really stand out. Yeah. But what I love, and they, I try to connect with those kids and try to push them in a direction that they want to go. Not that I want them to go, but that they want to go. And sometimes it's kids who like to draw, but only want to draw what they want to draw.
Yeah.
So it starts to become a little bit of a struggle. So that happens from time to time. And I say, dude, if you want to draw stuff, that's great, man. You want to draw Pokemon? Awesome. But if you draw the things I draw, it'll make your Pokemon even better.
Right.
So you got to just do and you're not getting graded on Pokemon. You're getting graded on this. Right. So you got to do what I'm asking you to do. So, but there are times what I really love. The best part of my job is when a kid at the beginning of the year, it might be a new kid in 3rd grade that I haven't had since kindergarten. But they, raise their hand and say, I can't draw. I don't know how to draw. I'm not going to be able to draw, something like that. Right. And I say, watch this. Yeah, you are. So I'm like, give me 2 weeks and you'll be drawing. Okay. Don't say I can't. Don't say I don't know how to.
Right.
Just try your best to listen to and follow my directions, and you'll do just fine. Don't worry if you make mistakes. That's another thing that I tell my kids. Do not worry about making mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. I'm 46 years old. I make mistakes every single day, and I make sure I tell them that also. We are not perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. So when you make a mistake, deal with it and move forward. I don't give the kids erasers. They can't erase their mistakes.
Yeah.
I hate
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, man.
That's good.
That's
Good.
great.
That's a good idea.
When they raise their hand and say, "Can I get an eraser? I made a mistake." I said, "Nope, you're gonna have to live with that one."
Right. Yeah.
Keep moving forward.
Or you can quote Bob Ross.
Yeah. Right. And I get parents who, "Why don't you give them erasers?" And I say the exact same thing to them. And one parent said, "No, really, why don't you give erasers?" I said, that really is one of the reasons I don't give erasers. The real reason, another reason, is because if I gave them erasers in a 40-minute class, they'd spend 20 minutes erasing lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they'll be upset for 3 minutes, and then they'll keep moving forward.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's a really good idea. I like that. That's cool that you get to see that in these kids, and you can kind of push them like, hey, you've got something here, Do you think art is, a God-given talent, or do you think anybody could be taught how to draw and draw well?
I think anybody can be taught how to draw and draw well. I think there are some people that see the world a little better. I tell the kids it's not about drawing pretty pictures. It's about seeing and understanding your world better.
Yeah.
And you can be taught to understand the world the way an artist does. Sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and this might sound, I call people who aren't artists, musicians, writers, artists, visual artists, I call them normals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my joke that I make sometimes is I don't know how the normals go through their day without bumping into stuff.
Right.
Like when somebody who's a normal tries to draw, never been taught to, and that's okay. Right. But they try to draw something and they start drawing a tree. And I'm like, have you ever seen a tree? And they try to draw it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the reason is they've never been trained to. They've never been taught how to do that. They've never been taught how to see and understand their world visually. So so really, anybody, I could sit here and teach you guys how to draw something right now. It'll take 10 minutes and you'll be able to draw it. It's about seeing and understanding your world better. And I do think that, they talk about, the difference between right brain people and left brain people. Right brain is more creative. And as a left-handed person, being a right brain person, being a left-handed person, it definitely helps to see the world differently. I knew from a very young age, Bob can attest to this, that I see the world a little bit differently than most people, probably.
Yeah.
And that helps to be able to maybe not fall into traps sometimes.
Right.
Not to be able to see things from different perspectives that sometimes people don't see or can't see for whatever reason. But sometimes, it maybe is a deterrent to be able to see. Like I said, math is a mystery to me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And to be
me
able,
too.
Yeah. To be able to, I wish that I could go back and do that better, and to be able to say, no, really explain it to me, and I'll really listen. Yeah. And and try to do it. I wish I could go back to do it, but I can't. But now I try to do the best I can. My wife handles all the money.
Good. That's smart.
That's smart.
But math is like anything else, though, and I have to do math a lot throughout the day. Yeah. But math is like anything else. If you have a good teacher, that really, math is one of those subjects that without a good teacher, you're not going to be successful. Right. Just like art. If you don't have a good teacher, and you probably see these in your school, every school has them, where I could tell that's probably not a great teacher and kids are not doing well. Right. So, I mean, math is just like that, man. Got to have a good teacher. And I agree 100%. So I know, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that, with my kids, I'm sure you tell your kids the same thing, that teachers are like bosses that you'll have in your life. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a whole bunch of different bosses. They're all going to be different. They're all going to be different. Well, you might have 3 bosses at the same job who want different things from you. So teachers are like bosses. You try to do the best you can for each teacher, but in the end, your education is up to you. Yeah, my child's education is up to me and my wife and my child.
Right.
So they get out of it what they put into it.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if the teacher is flaky. It doesn't matter if the teacher, whatever the issue is. Maybe the teacher is too mean, whatever the issue is. Your education is your responsibility.
Right. 100%.
It's not the teacher's responsibility to coddle you or to pat you on the head and say, "Great job, darling." I tell my students that I teach, I'm not mommy and daddy.
Right.
I'm not grandma and grandpa. I'm not a clown up here to amuse you, because you hear it all the time. Oh, you should make it fun for the kids. No. It's going to be fun sometimes because it's fun.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just going to be learning how to do this thing, buckle down and do it.
Right.
So not mommy and daddy, not grandma and grandpa. I'm not a clown up here to amuse you. I'm your teacher, how to teach you how to do cool stuff. Right. You have to listen to make sure that you're learning the stuff as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Now, energy level. So if you've seen my TikTok, so I do like a motivational stuff in the morning and all that, and I have to keep my energy level up as a leader in the military and in law enforcement.
Yeah.
But there are times where I get a lot of downtime because I'm not on camera all the time. I'm not around the public. I'm not around my soldiers, so I can kind of wind it down. But how do you keep your energy level up 8 hours a day? And I know they give you a little bit like a planning day or a planning hour or whatever, but how in the world do you keep it up all day long?
It can be hard some days. I know in the first probably 5 or 6 years of teaching, and this is probably true for every teacher, that the first 5 or 6 years, I busted my chops and was exhausted to the point of passing out every single night.
Yeah.
But now, as 15 years into it, still doing my job above and beyond, still giving the kids everything they need to do, but also knowing that sometimes you got to step back and let the kids do most of the work.
Right.
Okay.
So making them do most of the work and letting them know now this is where I'm going to back up and I'm going to let you do it. I'll be here. I'll be walking around. I'll be helping. I'll be doing other stuff. I'll be here if you need me. But this is where you got to show me that you've been paying attention for the last 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
And there are kids that haven't been. You walk over and you help them, right?
Yeah.
But trying to keep that energy level can be difficult. I think that for me, who has not to to my own horn or anything, but those in high school where they give you the most likely to whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
The most likely to succeed. That was not me. But the one of them was the most energetic.
Right.
That's the one that I got.
Oh,
I took it as a compliment, but I don't know.
It's true. It's actually quite true. You do kind of keep your energy up all day long.
I
Hanging
try
out
to.
with you a lot. I see that, and I'm exhausted trying to keep up, and you can do it.
Well,
probably
as
from
a teacher, where you have kindergartners who you have to stay on. You have to stay on them.
Oh yeah.
They will destroy you.
Yes.
If you don't stay on top of them. Oh, Johnny, sit down.
Yeah.
Oh, little Susie. No.
Yeah.
I'm talking. You're not.
Right.
That's all day.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And then you try to teach in between that.
Yeah.
And and the crazy thing about kindergarten kids is that they're just leaving. I mean, I know schools are a lot different now. They had preschool and all that. But for the most part, they're just leaving mommy and daddy's house that they were there all day, or their grandparents were making them sandwiches and playing games with them all day. And then when you get to kindergarten, they're like, look at you, go, okay, it's time. Are we going to play today?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a hard year.
Yeah, it is. I'd say the most difficult part is, and every parent is guilty of this. I'm guilty of this as a parent also, is that you want to give your kids everything.
Right.
But I think that one of the best things, and as a teacher, my wife and I both work in school districts, in education. So we tried really hard to make sure that we said no to them every once in a while. Can I have a cupcake? No. But why? I'm so cute. I want a cupcake.
Right.
No, you're not getting a cupcake. Go play outside.
Right.
And I think one of the problems is that and like I said, every parent does this from time to time. Parents who don't say no to their kids.
Right.
They give them and give them and give them, but they don't tell them, they don't prepare them for school for a teacher who's not mommy and daddy.
Right.
Who, you know, oh, you're crying, everything will be okay. Relax. You're not mean to them, whatever you say, but I've got 30 other kids here.
Yeah.
Right.
You're crying. I understand that you're upset. You miss your mommy. I miss my mommy too. Why don't we just stop crying and work?
Right.
Let's move forward. I'm not gonna stop to make sure that, you know, that every tear is wiped.
Right.
Just, you know, collect yourself. Everything will be fine. Move forward with your day.
Right.
But that's part of the problem, I think, is that kids nowadays don't hear no.
Yeah. Right. And you can spot those kids from a mile away.
Yeah, and they start getting up and playing with the toys when it's not playing with toy time. Hey, sit back down. No, I want to play with toys. I don't care what you want. Sit down.
Right.
Let mommy and daddy let me do whatever I want. And of course, this is not everybody. So if any of my parents in school, this is not you guys.
Of course, it's not them.
None of you.
Dave, we're kind of running out on time, and I wanted to kind of touch on a couple more things, but I don't know that we're going to be able to get to them.
Go for it, dude. You know what?
Time
is
okay.
Let's do it.
So,
I'm okay.
Let me get back to all right. So if anybody wants to watch that might be watching this or watch it later, wants to go and purchase either your graphic novel or any of the novels or comics, correcthandedcomics.com is the way to go. That's the way to do it.
There'll be a link right there too. I do most of my sales through Amazon. It kind of cuts out a middleman for me right now. I'm working on, and I have other avenues too. So if people out there know comicsology.com, I do through them also. There's some other smaller companies that I'm working out to be able to get print and digital books through for people to be able to buy. But I really like the idea that I can produce them and people could just buy. They don't. I don't need to worry about getting it to them. There's pros and cons to that. But Amazon has really worked out for me really well. And I've heard positive things on how it gets to them. One of the cons is, one of the downsides is, I don't have any control over how it's shipped. So I would want to have my logo on it. I would want to be able to put extra stuff in it. And when I do send stuff to people who buy things through me directly, I try to make sure that I put some extra stuff in there for them to be able to, you know, just give them fun stuff to be able to have.
Okay.
But all the links on my website, correcthandedcomics.com, they link right up to Amazon, and you can get it in print and digital. Most of the digital stuff is between 99 cents and $2.99. Some of the print stuff, the individual issues, would be between $5.99, and some of the bigger books like the Omnibus, which collects 13 issues, are going to be on the higher end. So there's kind of a price range there for everybody to be able to pick up. I know a lot of people who are a little weary of picking up an ongoing series from an independent creator like myself, who, you know, they might not see another book they pick up issue 1, 2, and 3, but then don't see issue 4 for 2 years.
Right.
That's not me, but I understand people who don't want to immediately pick up an ongoing series. So if they want to pick up a couple one-shots, pick up 4-issue miniseries, pick up a 100-page graphic novel and get an idea of my style and the kind of storytelling that I do, and kind of make that a bridge for The Offspring for a more ongoing series, then I love it. It's great.
So you mentioned all of this is linked to, you know what, I'm going to share this real quick because I want to show how absolutely simple it is to do this for everybody. But what if they did want to buy from you? Is there a way to do that? So I'm just on the comics right now. If I want to buy the Offspring issue 1, I click buy here. It takes me directly to Amazon, and you know,
there it is. Digital.
There I am. Yep. So you can get it on the Kindle or paperback. You said you're also on Comixology. Are you unlimited? Are you on Comixology Unlimited as well?
Yes. So so they have that Kindle Unlimited also. Okay. So some of my books on digital will be free if you do Kindle Unlimited. Okay. So I believe 2 of my 4 one-shots are free if you're on Kindle Unlimited. Okay. And I believe that 2 or 3 of my Offspring issues are free digitally through Kindle Unlimited also.
Okay.
So there's some
and Comixology Unlimited.
Yeah, and Comixology. Yes, they're kind of linked now, I guess. They're kind of all linking up together.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. I do. I've been a part of Comicsology Unlimited for a long time. I had no idea you were on that. So that's literally how simple it is
Yeah.
to hop on. But I noticed that everything is a link to Amazon. How would I buy from you? How would I buy directly from you? Is there a way of doing that,
Yeah,
or
so
do you
any
prefer
social media outlet, I
Okay.
get messages, private messages, or DMs, digital messages from people every single day. And here's what I'm going to do for you guys also. So if anybody messages me that they saw me on your show, they'll get a free digital copy of one of my 24-page one shots.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Okay.
So if anybody just messaged me on Facebook, on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. I know I'm an old man on TikTok. On
I'm
Instagram,
47, sir.
you are, yeah.
Yeah.
On Instagram, and if you look up Correct Handed Comics, I'll pop up.
Okay. On any of those platforms.
On any of those platforms, Correct Handed Comics, I'll pop up.
Okay.
And if there's somebody who wants to buy from me directly, I do have physical copies. So all of my one shots, I have physical copies of all of my one shots. So if somebody says I want to buy directly from you, I go through PayPal, and they go right through PayPal, and I'll send them the book, and it'll have usually a little extra stuff in there for fun. Nice. I don't do it as much as selling through Amazon or Comixology. Right. But if somebody wants to reach out to me directly, I'm more than happy to give them a physical copy and give them a little cup, something extra. If they take the time to be able to contact me directly, I'm 100% down with taking the time to getting them something a little extra and sending to them just by me myself. Okay.
Yeah. Same price, or I'm assuming that you'd have to charge for shipping
because the shipping. Yeah. So it'll be a little bit extra, not a lot extra, but a little bit extra because of shipping. But like I said, I try to throw some extra little goodies in there too for fun.
And plus, you're in upstate New York, so wherever you're at, Ohio, that's probably 2 to 3 days.
Wherever I am, it's far away.
Yeah.
Where in New York are you at?
Way up north. We are. We're about an hour and a half south of the Canada border. We're about an hour and a half north of Syracuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way up there.
Way up there.
I have not ever visited.
You have not,
but Shannon has, and she's basically driving forever and not.
It takes about 9.5 hours to get to you guys from here.
Yeah. Wow. And you'll be here next week, right?
We'll be here. We'll be turkey daying it up.
Okay. All right. Turkey bowl. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if you want to get your butt with Bob and some football, I'm down.
Last year I did. Last year I may have died actually out on that field.
I used to give like 50%. This year I'm giving like 10%.
Yeah, dude, you're giving more 10% more than me. So good for you. Okay. Good for you. Cool. I struggle, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna pull this up real quick. This is your contact info. Oh, okay. So on your website, that's how you contact you. P.O. Box
contact me directly with any questions about books, any ideas. If there are any creators out there that want to just get together to talk about comic books, or ask questions, or I might even have questions for you.
Yeah,
that you want to just get together and contact through Facebook, through Twitter, through my website. Love it. I love connecting with people who love comics.
So
awesome.
The Offspring, and then you've got your one shots. Mm-hmm. Are you working on anything else? Is there anything else in the works that you can give us a preview of, or is it just any spare times going to the Offspring and the one shots?
I always have the next step.
Okay.
So I am in the middle of the Offspring issue 18. And like I said, that's probably going to be January, hoping there's no problems in there, but probably January. I have another one shot that was actually written by another guy, Patrick Daniel. He actually did a bunch of editing for me. And he had to step away from the editing for personal reasons. And he said, "Hey, I can't edit right now, but I have a story, 24 pages. Do you want to do it as a one shot?" And I said, "Yeah, man, you did a bunch of work for me. I'll do it." So I am in the process of working on a one shot written by him. And I think I'm going to try to get that out before New Year's.
Okay.
So another 24 pager before New Year's. Next year, to 2022, I have I only have one 100-page graphic novel out right now called The Loved Ones. That's kind of like a if you remember the old black and white monster movies, Frankenstein's monster, vampires, wolfmen, witches, all that stuff. I have The Loved Ones is about the children of those movie monsters.
Yep.
Who are raised by a Van Helsing type monster hunter character.
Yeah.
And they decide through mishaps and misfortune, they decide to go out and hunt their parents. And it's a real nurture versus nature story because they're kind of raised thinking that they are evil and that they are the bad guys. So they're trying to do good things, but fighting their urges as vampires and werewolves. So it's really like a really nurture versus nature story that I think came out really, really well. And that's a fun one. But it's been a few years since I came out with a 100-plus page graphic novel. So the last time we were in Outer Banks, if you remember, I was looking at my brother, your brother-in-law's child, who is a Spitfire.
Yeah. Yes.
And he was running around with a little water cannon thing. I said,
remember.
that kid's a story. Yep. Give me a second. Let me think of a story for that kid. So
and you did.
Within a few minutes, we sat there and we busted out a story about a scientist named Leighton Lightspeed. Yeah. And my plan is to have Leighton Lightspeed started next year and then come out in 2023. It'll take me about a year to put 100-plus pages together. Okay, so on top of The Offspring, on top of doing all the other stuff I'm doing. So
right.
I hope to have some visuals for that, maybe summer next year.
Yeah, that'll be.
And then I always have one-shots that I want to put out. I have a whole list of stories that I can't wait to tell. It's just a matter of finding the time to tell them.
Yeah, yeah. So do you primarily draw with pen and pencil? Or I mean, I wish we had more time because, and if you'll let us, maybe we'll have you come back on.
Absolutely.
And you can kind of show us the process because I think I know I've seen your process. I've seen what you do. I know when we're at the Outer Banks, you may sketch something here and there, but when you're working at home, you're typically digitally doing these things, right?
Pencils and inks are pretty traditional.
Okay.
So here's a page of The Offspring that I have, and it's just my pencils, my rough pencils. And since I pencil and ink myself, my pencils are pretty rough. Yeah. And I go in and I tighten them up with inks. And then once I get the inks done, so here's a page that I have for I'm not going to show that one. Let me show another one. I don't want to show that one. Here we go. So this is my ink process. You see, I've got this little guy down here already, kind of inked up. So I'll do the inks pretty traditionally, and then once I get them into the computer, I'll clean them up in Photoshop, make sure all my edges are clean, make sure everything's nice and solid black, make sure all that stuff, and then I'll letter them right there in Photoshop using Illustrator also. So the process is kind of a mishmash of traditional and digital.
So how do you take, I'm assuming it's scanned, but how do you take your actual print that you've drawn on and put it into the computer?
So I scan it in a traditional scanner. They have to be pretty high resolution. So sometimes it takes a little time to get them all done. If it's a 24 pager or something like that, it might take a few minutes to get all that stuff scanned in. But once I scan it in, I scan it as a TIFF file, get it into Photoshop, clean it all up, make sure it's as high resolution for printing that I can get it without crashing my computer. And from there it's fine to try. Then when I have them all the pages together, I really, quite honestly, a lot of people use different things, like a lot of Adobe software stuff to be able to get their pages formatted. I use Word. I use Word, and I have it all set up to where Word I plop the pages into Word, and I can make them into a document or a PDF from there, which is what most people use to be able to print out these books and to be able to display these books digitally. So from there, it's now. 3 years ago, the process was a nightmare. It was lots of learning curve to be able to get it going, placement of it, all that. But now I can format a book in 5 minutes.
Really?
2 years ago, it would have taken me 3 days to get
Wow.
everything right where I wanted it to be. But now I can get it all done in 5 minutes just because I know where it all needs to go now. It's that learning process, getting better at it all the time. Right.
Right.
Nice.
So not only do you write novels, draw comic books, write comic books, you also play music. Is there anything?
You're being really generous, Bob, saying that I play music.
Did you find that clip for me?
You know what? I do not have. I should actually put your album on digital format. I mean, I do have this. Do you have it in digital format that you could send to us?
I probably have it on a Mac somewhere in here.
Somewhere. It goes back a ways, but it really truly is a phenomenal album.
Oh, thanks,
and
man.
Why you aren't pursuing that absolutely kills me. I know every time you come home, we're searching for karaoke bars. You love to sing. You love to play a guitar.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the future for that, or you got no spare time?
Yeah, it really is about honing it in and trying to make sure that I'm using my time as wisely as I can to be able to continue comic books. Throughout my 46 years, I played in many bands, sang in many bands, tried to do open mic nights and all that kind of stuff. But now being where I am and having the comic book publisher company to be able to keep going, it's really hard to. I knew that I had to. I'll pick up my guitar every once in a while. It's sitting here right behind me.
Yeah, I see it.
I'll pick up my guitar every once in a while to just play with the kids. My kids love singing with me, Lana mostly, my daughter mostly. But for the most part, it's just a fun thing that I do. Who knows? Kelly and I kind of sat down, and my wife I sat down and realized that my son is a sophomore in high school. He's got 2 more years until he's gone to college.
Yeah.
And Lana is 8th grade. She only has 4 more years until she's gone. And it'll just be Kelly and I again.
Yeah.
So to have to kind of make that realization, realize in 4 years, it's just going to be my wife and I again.
Yeah.
And they're going to be off living their own lives. So who knows? Maybe then I'll be an old man up there playing a little Pink Floyd or
there you go. Okay.
Now, did you get up there with us during Shannon and Bobby's wedding and sing "Sex You Up"?
I think if I remember correctly, Bob, I started off the karaoke with a little what's the name of the band?
Jingle in the Pocket.
It was I don't know, keep your hands to yourself.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the band. Gosh darn it.
Straits.
Keep your hands to yourself by
Dire Straits?
No, not Dire Straits. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts now, Bob.
Oh, well, I'm not going to Google it. You're going to have to come up with it. I do remember that night very fondly, and we did not do "Sex You Up" very well.
Yes, we did amazing.
I don't know about that.
Well, me and Brian did amazing. All you guys kept doing was, "I want to sex you up." That's all I remember you guys doing.
Well,
Georgia Satellites.
Satellites.
Okay.
That's it. Yep. Yeah. I can tell you that I was quite inebriated.
Yes.
Which you should
The parts
never
I
do.
remember. The parts I remember were great.
Yes,
well,
they were.
We floated 2 kegs of beer.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I have a very fond memory of your dad, David. We had a little competition going there with the 2 kegs of beer. And after the first one floated, actually after both of them floated, he looked at me and he said, "Now we have to drink all these liquors a bottle." And I was like, "Your daughter married into the right family. We got this."
Dad didn't do that much, so Dad was on. That was
mostly the brothers.
Yeah.
I think he was recruiting the Whalen boys to, and it was smart to do so because you guys were all drinkers back in those days. Now, not so much, but
we had to adopt a lot of kids that night.
Yeah,
we were like this. You're now a Stevens.
Well, what's funny is if you remember, there was a wedding going along next door.
Yes.
And it was dry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And people kept coming over.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm sitting on the dais with my brothers. And we were just sitting there. We had everything in front of us that we needed. Wide move.
Yeah. Right.
I hear from the corner, David. And I look over, and it's a girl who I hadn't seen from middle school for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, how are you doing? She's doing great. Melinda was her name. and she had her baby with her. And I if I see a baby
yes.
and we're in a place, I grab the baby and I hold the baby.
And then she goes and drinks, I bet.
And she went off and drank. Well, we were doing karaoke, and I believe for one of the songs I was holding the baby. And one of Aunt Sue goes to Mom, and Mom told me this later. Aunt Sue leans in and goes, "Who is that baby? Where did David get this baby?"
Nice.
And Mom's like, I don't know.
I have no idea. I kind of remember. Was she kind of a hippie?
Oh yeah,
like the baby was
a
on
real
like
sweet girl. I really liked her in high school. We were good buddies in high school.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen her in 10 years. It was hilarious. Her and her I don't know if husband at the time, but boyfriend, real nice couple. And they went over and they say we couldn't stay at that. No offense to the other group that they're not listening at all. They'll never hear this. No. But they're like, we can't stay over there anymore. We need a beer. And I was like, well, I bet we have beers. You could probably drink
plenty of beer.
Well, it's funny you guys mentioned that because it will be 17 years on Saturday to the day.
Woo!
Crazy, huh? 17 years.
Congratulations, man.
So proud.
But our weddings there's always something about our wedding. Your wedding was in the middle of a hurricane. You remember this shit?
Yeah, I do.
TJ's wedding, I got a bird shit on me. It was on a super fancy country club, wasn't it? Like, men only in the bar that we were at, and the women got kicked out, and but it was outside, beautiful day, but very hot. And I'm sitting there, and a bird just shits on my shoulder. Nice. I brought no change of clothes. I'm in North Carolina. It always seemed like something was going on our wedding day.
So people are not confused. There is another TJ, which is David's brother. Which TJ, he's the oldest, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest of our group.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. So
it does get confusing in our home sometimes talking about the TJs.
Because people going, "You got married in a country club?" I'm like,
yeah.
I got married in an old Baptist church. I don't remember.
I remember that one too.
Yeah.
So it's 17 years on Saturday.
That's
it's
amazing.
Crazy.
Congrats, man. Tell my sister I said congrats.
All right. And that's another thing. For people that don't know, Davey Boy here is my brother-in-law.
I explained that earlier.
Did you? Okay. I must have missed that.
Explained that in the promo and everything else. So
I think at this point, Bob, 20 years into it, we can drop the in-law part.
Okay, good.
We can.
There you go. That's all.
I would like to. I don't know your feelings on the matter.
I tell you, let me think it over.
You think
I'll tell you next week.
You give it a tick. You let me know.
Hey, look, David, I'll tell you, he's a great brother. So he's awesome
all right.
brother.
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I have my moments.
I can give or take him.
Yeah.
Give or take. Well, your sister gave, for 17 years. So
17 years, she's a giver.
Means something.
Yeah.
So we're an hour and 30 minutes in. Dave,
awesome.
Like I know now it's 10 o'clock and we all have to work tomorrow, but I would love to have you back on.
Yes.
And I would love to actually see the process.
Sure.
So we'll have to figure out when we can do that. I know I'll see you next week. Maybe we can
talk about it next week. I can get the whole setup for you. Maybe at the beginning of next year.
Beginning next year.
We do something. I'll get the whole setup here. I'll have a good page ready for you guys. We'll chit chat more about it. I love it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right. So every show we do a final thought.
Mm-hmm.
So David, do you have a final thought for us?
My final thought is thank you so much, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it. I wish that your other brother and sister could have been here with us also. Yeah. I'm sorry that they weren't able here. Maybe next time they'll be able to be here.
For sure.
I really appreciate you guys having me on, giving me a time to be able to talk about stuff, drawing and weddings and whatnot. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys, for having me on.
Yeah, not a problem.
Thank you.
It's
been awesome.
And I don't do final thoughts because normally by 10 o'clock I'm mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
So what's your final thought, T?
Okay, so yesterday I talked about this, but I got this great quote. Follow your dreams because your dreams know the way.
Mm-hmm.
And David, you have definitely followed your dreams. So that is my final thought for the night.
Awesome. Nice. So, well, Dave, it's a pleasure, man. Always talking to you.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll see you next week for Thanksgiving. Guys, I love you.
Love you too.
I'll hop off here and hopefully Dave, we'll see you. Drive safe.
Yeah, man. Send me some cranberry sauce.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, guys.
buddy.
All right,
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night.
All right.
Take care.